Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kyle, and this is part 2 and my conclusion of the best cars to win in head-to-head races 1 through 46 ranking. And when we last left off, I had given us the Chevy Camaro at number 20, so despite the fact that many people might not think that the Chevy Camaro should grace the top 20 or the top 30 or even the top 40, I think there's enough of an argument to be made that it does deserve to be here. So now, let's just jump right into the top 19, starting with the 19th ranked car, the Level 2 Audi RS6. This is a bit of a divisive car. Some may agree that it should be ranked this high, others may not. I am on the fence about it, actually, even though this is my own list, because there's a lot of cars ranked lower than this that in a pinch, I might decide to take over the RS6, maybe. However, the RS6 is just so well-rounded and just has so much going for it that I do feel overall it deserves a spot this high on the list. It's very slow to accelerate overall. I mean, I'm not comparing it to every single vehicle, but at this rank, I think that is the RS6's largest detriment, is that it's not that quick to get to a solid speed. Other than that, though, it has an excellent top speed. It tops out at what, like 180 miles an hour. That is incredible. That tops everything until you get to the level 6 RS7. So until you hit another superior Audi, nothing else comes close to its top speed. It is very stable. It is heavy versus debris, so it doesn't get shoved around too much, and it's easy to control. So yes, I do have it ranked this high. No, I do not have it ranked any higher than this. Next up, in spot number 18, I do have the Cayenne. This might, I don't know, anger a few people as well. How could you put the Cayenne above the Audi? The RS6 is just incredible. What are you doing? The Cayenne does not have the same kind of top speed, but it's very, very close. It's like 4 or 5 miles an hour less than the RS6. I think the acceleration is fairly similar, but the Audi's even heavier. It doesn't slow down at all when it goes through stuff. It just plows through everything. Overall, it's not that fast, but it is very stable. It is easy to control, even at speed. I almost never spin out in the darn thing. I almost never see others spinning out in the thing either. So its speed and acceleration overall are very good. Stability is good. Control is very good. And then when you come across obstacles like in the jungle or like miscellaneous debris out in regular forests or fences, stuff like that, or whether it's water that you're coming across, the Cayenne's just not going to slow down. It's just that good. Again, in my opinion. Next up, in spot 17, the Level 6 959. And as I look at this all makes perfect sense to me. However, I could see how these last three could be pretty divisive, depending on who I may ask their opinion. So the 959, it is light. That is a big detriment to it. So if you are in the 959 and you are out in the jungle, or you are out in territory where there's barriers and fences and stuff like that, it's gonna get slowed down a little bit more by those items than some of the other cars that are ranked below it. However, here's where I think it absolutely comes out ahead of the last several picks. Very good acceleration, very good top speed. I think its top speed is right around 170, maybe a little bit better than that, but excellent overall as far as speed goes and acceleration. But it's very stable. It's very easy to control. It doesn't roll very easily. However, ease of control. I can point the thing wherever I want. I can come around a tight corner and regain control easily. It's very difficult to spin the thing out. So I think absolutely it deserves a spot this high on the list. Number 17 may seem a little high to some. I don't think so. I think that it bests, even if it's just by a sliver, everything else that has come before it. So, then what is in spot number 16? Oh boy. Oh boy, the Metro. Oh, the poor little Metro. Its top speed is just abysmal. Just absolutely pathetic when it comes to top speed at 130, let's call it 133 miles an hour to be really generous. Many times I can't get above 131 in the darn thing. And when 133 is your top speed, absolutely every single mile an hour counts and makes a big difference. So the Metro, its top speed is just pathetic. It also weighs next to nothing, which means if you're driving the Metro around in the jungle, every log is going to demolish you. It's going to slow you down. It's going to redirect you into a tree. It's going to hurt real bad. Same thing with the water. The water is not the friend of the Metro. Other debris, miscellaneous stuff, fences and regular smaller trees and stuff that you can go through. Don't hurt it too much though. But it's still not absolutely great. Acceleration though, excellent. It goes from 0 to 133 miles an hour quicker than the hiccups. So it just gets to that top speed super quick. It gets to that top speed so fast that the fact that it's not even all that stable isn't a huge issue from time to time. I have videos out there where I routinely flip in the Metro, and yet I'm able to recover almost instantly and get right back to that top speed. So it's as I've said before, it is very dangerous over short distances. You don't want to be in a final in it anywhere under any circumstances because it's almost impossible to win a final in the Metro. However, winning head-to-head races, you can take on just about anybody, especially if they're going the wrong way when you guys start. You're just going to be going 133 miles an hour instantly the opposite direction, and that can really save you and have you beat a lot of vehicles that seem to be quite a bit better. Next up, top 15 now. Spot number 15, similar to the Metro actually in my opinion, is the Pro Truck. And yes, I'm going to rank the Pro Truck above the Cayenne, above the 959, above the Audi, because it is a very good vehicle. A lot of people really hate the Pro Truck because it's, at least that I can tell anyway, it seems to be rear-wheel drive when it really needs all-wheel drive. However, hear me out on the Pro Truck. It's difficult to control, it will spin out on you, and overall, it's not very fast. I don't even know off the top of my head what its top speed is, but it's not great. It's like 160 something, maybe 170, something like that. Anyhow, so it's not super fast. It's not super quick, but it does have very solid, it has solid acceleration, not great acceleration. Stability, it will flip and stuff like that if you really put it to task. However, most of the time it remains wheels down and it absorbs bumps really well, so you're not going to lose a lot of speed going over bumps and jumps in the Pro Truck. Further, it is great at going through stuff. Jungle driving, water driving, miscellaneous debris. It goes through all of that stuff. So whatever kind of debris you're going through, the Pro Truck will go through it and really won't lose all that much speed overall either. So I think, again, similar to the Metro, you don't want to have to do a giant long race in the Pro Truck, and you want to be facing the right direction, and you want to be going at a decent clip when that head-to-head begins. But if you can manage all that stuff and it's not that long a race, the Pro Truck is going to win quite a bit more often than it loses. So that's why I've got it ranked all the way up in the top 15. Number 14 above the Pro Truck is our, I believe, first level 9, and that is the Trackhawk. The Trackhawk gets a lot of hate. The Trackhawk gets a lot of hate from me. However, if you look at the Trackhawk objectively, it is absolutely a top 15 vehicle. Its top speed is not spectacular. Its top speed isn't even 180 miles an hour. It's like 177 to 179-ish in that area. So top speed is a detriment. So is acceleration. It does not get to that top speed all that quick. It is very good acceleration when you compare it to all the other cars on the list. I would rank its acceleration in the very good category. It's not excellent, it's not outstanding, but it is solid acceleration. Everything else, the Trackhawk is great at. It weighs tons and tons and tons. It will go through whatever you want to go through, and it doesn't care in the least. Jungle driving, logs, what logs? Water driving, oh, I think there was a river we just forded there, and we didn't even slow down 5 miles an hour. Miscellaneous debris like fences and trees, it goes through all of that stuff, and it just does it brilliantly. It's very stable as well. It doesn't roll all that easily. And it also is very easy to control, similar to what the Cayenne is, to where you can pull out of a hard turn and not spin out. You can hit the brakes and make a nice U-turn very quickly if need be in it. I mean, not, you know, not spectacularly quickly like you could in a Focus RS or maybe even an X5, because they just don't have the same kind of weight they got to deal with. But it will turn around quickly. It's not going to spin out on you. Obviously, all-wheel drive is excellent there. So I absolutely think that the Trackhawk is a top 14 car, but it is not quite as good as number 13, which is a level 6, and that is another Audi, the RS7. The RS7 is a car that has very few weaknesses going for it. In fact, I tried to compile strengths and weaknesses for every vehicle and kind of rank them and rate them on speed, acceleration, stability control, and driving through various debris. The RS7, I don't have this is a huge negative for it. This is what's holding it back, because there's just not a lot holding it back. The big negative for the RS7, it is not spectacular against the really big boys, you know, the hardcore level 10s, the stellar 8s and 9s. It's just not quite gonna measure up as far as acceleration and top speed goes to those cars. Everything else before it on this list, it is better than in almost every single way. It's got a great top speed. It tops out at what, 188-ish miles an hour. That's a great top speed and a spectacular top speed for a level 6. Its acceleration is very good. It is very stable and very easy to control. Jungle driving, which hinders a lot of the cars on this list. A lot of the SUVs do really well, but the cars don't do so well. It does pretty well in jungle driving because it weighs so much. Same with water driving. Doesn't slow down a ton. It slows down a bit, but it's not too bad. Same with the miscellaneous debris out there, like other trees and fences and stuff like that. It will plow through all of that stuff. It's got a low center of gravity, but it's not too low, so it does have a little bit of ground clearance to it, unlike some other cars like the Camaro or the Centenario that are just so ridiculously low to the ground that even little bumps you're slowing yourself down a ton on. So it's just absolutely excellent in just about every way. It just has some problems taking on the biggest of the big boys. So that's why it's a top 13 car. In at number 12, I have the Focus RS RX. And this one might be divisive. I don't know. Is the RS RX better than the RS7? In my opinion, yes, it absolutely is in a head-to-head race, because while it's not spectacular or anything, it doesn't have a top speed that can touch the RS7's. It tops out at like 165 miles an hour. But oh boy, does it get to that top speed. Lickety-split. It is just gonna go 0 to 166 way faster than something like the RS7 would. Stability, it is very stable. It is very easy to control. Not spectacularly easy to control, but very easy to control. It does have a little bit of weight to it. It definitely weighs less than something like the RS7 and obviously a lot of the SUVs behind it here, but it has good enough weight to it that it's not a total disaster in places like the jungle or water, to where it's not going to get shoved around too much. It is going to get shoved around by some of those logs, but not to where you can't overcome any issues that you may encounter. Similar to it, in the number 11 spot, is going to be the Fiesta. I did put the Fiesta ahead of the RS RX. I mainly did that because the Fiesta does have a bit better top speed at 176 miles an hour. I think it might be a little bit quicker to that top speed as well. Beyond that, the RS RX and the Fiesta are very, very similar. The Fiesta, a little bit better top speed. The Fiesta, potentially a little bit better acceleration. And the Fiesta does seem to be slightly easier to control overall, to where it's not going to spin out on you too much. It's gonna keep you going in the direction you want to go in. It's also not going to roll all that easy as well. Same with the RS RX. For smaller vehicles like they are, they don't roll and get up on two wheels and stuff like that, even if you're going off of jumps, all that easy. Of course, you can roll them. Any car on this list, if you drive crazy enough, you can destroy it, be on the roof, turn turtle, whatever, but not too bad. So here we go. The top 10 vehicles left, and I believe every single one of these absolutely deserves to be in the top 10. We will start with the number 10 vehicle, and I'm just going to get this out of the way right now. 10 through 8 are really close. Like, it took a lot of back and forth with myself to try to figure out where I wanted to rank all of these. Number 10 being the AMG GT. This is a level 7 car. It absolutely can contend in every single race it comes across, even in a final. As far as recording goes and the videos that I do, I actually won recently. I have won 9 in a row when in the final in the AMG GT, and just last night that streak came to an end. I do have that failure recorded. I'm not sure when I'll post it. It'll probably be October or November, but I did win 9 finals in a row, and it's just that good. Top speed of the AMG GT is outstanding. It absolutely matches up with the fastest cars in the game when it comes to the overall top speed. Acceleration is not the best. When I say it's not the best, I mean it is acceleration that can match up pretty well with every single vehicle before it. I do think items like, you know, the Fiesta and the RSRX are gonna get going faster than the AMG GT by a bit because they don't weigh a ton, but top speed wise, it's absolutely spectacular at 215 miles an hour or so. There's nothing that's going to just waste it at the top end. Stability and control are excellent, especially once you get the AMG GT moving. It is very stable. You can take it off of jumps and it's going to do its very best not to roll over on you or to throw itself up on 2 wheels or the front, you know, the side wheels, 2 wheels, front, you know, right and left, or front and back. It's just very stable. Jungle driving, it's going to be great in the jungle because, again, it weighs so much. You're not going to get pushed around a ton. Sure, stuff's still going to slow you down a bit when you hit it, but you're not going to get redirected into a tree quite as easily. Same with water driving. Now, granted, I wouldn't, you know, start driving it in the water if I could help it, but if you happen to hit some water, you're not going to slow down all that much, and miscellaneous debris, it's just going to mow it down. So, absolutely, this is a top 10 car, in my opinion, but it is not as good as the Nissan GTR. It is so close, though. These 3 are so close. The GTR top speed is also outstanding, but not quite what the AMG GT can do. However, acceleration-wise, the GTR is going to best the AMG GT. Not by a ton, by any means. In a head-to-head, either of these could win. But in a head-to-head on the road from a standstill facing the right direction, the GTR is going to get to that top speed a little bit quicker. One problem with the GTR, it does weigh less, and so some debris are going to shove it around a little bit more. It's not really bad by any means, but if you're in the jungle with it, you could get pushed around a little bit more by some of the larger logs and stuff like that. I don't think you're going to get pushed into a tree or anything crazy. Like, I think you'll be able to control the narrative a bit more than the debris controlling the narrative, but it doesn't weigh quite what the AMG GTU does and what the RS7 does, so it's going to have a little bit more trouble there. Number 8, again, these 3 could have pretty much gone in any order, but the Murcielago is going to come in at number 8. I think the Murcielago is pretty much the best of both worlds. If you took everything great about the AMG GT, everything great about the GTR, and got rid of the stuff that they're not the best at, because the Murcielago is going to have a top speed that admittedly is not quite what the others are, like 207 versus 210 miles an hour in the GTR and 215 in the AMG GT, but its acceleration is as good or better than either of the other 2. Traction is excellent with it as well. It'll get going on sand, on dirt, on rocks, on pavement, obviously. It does have a little bit more, perhaps, of a weight issue to where it doesn't weigh very much, and so debris may affect it a little bit more than the GTR or the AMG GT. However, its speed, its acceleration, its ease to control, its lack of wanting to flip on you make it just edge them out by just a little bit, just a wee bit, not by a ton, just a little. Top 7, and I will lead off with our very first level 10 in another Lambo, the Centenario. Now, with the Centenario, you've got top speed that is absolutely excellent. I think it'll hit right around 220. Like, it is spectacular in the top speed range. Acceleration is also excellent with it. I mean, it's designed for hardcore speed. Like, that's what it is built for. It does really well in that regard. It's easy to control. It's very easy to control. But that comes with a caveat of it can be a little bit more difficult to control in some situations, because if you're in an area with a lot of bumps, not necessarily rolling hills or anything, but a lot of little bumps, a lot of little humps and jumps, the Centenario is too low to the ground. It's going to scrape on everything. It's going to dig its nose into the dirt. You're going to have some various troubles with it when it comes to those kind of terrains. However, in pretty much every case, once you can get the power down, it is going to out-accelerate a whole lot that came before it and put you in a very, very good position to try to contend for a win in pretty much any head-to-head. Number 6, absolutely the F9 deserves to be ranked this high. And I can hear the people now, what is this crazy, it's a horrible piece of job. Yeah, be quiet. Here's the thing with the F9. If you don't know how to drive it, put it down here where the Nomad is. It's just a faster version of the Nomad. It's going to have the same kind of control issues that a Nomad has, but it's going to be magnified because it's just got so much power, and it just puts that power through to these giant rear wheels, while those front wheels will just be up in the air and you can't even steer in it. But if you take your time to learn the nuances of the F9 and learn how to control it, learn how to balance it, learn when you can turn and when you can't turn, it is going to put you in a position to win more often than not. There's very few vehicles that I would say that I would take over the F9 in a head-to-head, even in a final. See, look, there's 5 vehicles that in a head-to-head I would take over the F9. That's how good the F9 is. The big weakness, again, is control. As far as debris goes, I would also say the jungle can be a big problem for the F9 because it does not weigh a ton. It's gonna get shoved around by stuff like a log here or a branch there. Regular debris isn't too big a problem. So again, fences, the little trees that are out there, I don't see you having a big problem with. Water also is not too big of an issue for the F9. It's got those wheels, not much of the body work is in the water, so there's not a lot of extra drag there, so you can handle water pretty well in it. But speed is outstanding. Acceleration is outstanding. Control is mediocre. You can't lie about it. It's just not easy to control the thing. But you got to take your time to learn it. Get in the thing often in the Eliminator and give it a try. Don't hide in it. If you ever get an F9, keep driving it around. Even if you're not trying to race somebody, just drive it around, get used to it for that race, get the nuances down for it. And if you're, just trying to stay in it till the final, great. Drive it around, take it off some jumps, take your time with it. It's tough to control, but if you learn it, absolutely a top 6 car. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. So then, the top 5 vehicles in Kyle's opinion in all of the Eliminator. Starting with number 5, I have the Andretti Beetle. And the Andretti Beetle is just such a spectacular all-arounder that there's pretty much no, even all of these top 5s, everything I have in the top 5, I don't have any glaring weaknesses for it. Like, it sucks at X, it sucks at Y. Nope, they don't suck at really anything. The Beetle does not have a spectacular top speed. It tops out at about 185 miles an hour. To be in a final, if that final's on the road quite a bit, 185 miles an hour, you might have a little bit of trouble. This is not about the final, though. This is about head-to-head races. In head-to-head races, it's almost never going to be all on the road. You're going to be all over the place, off-road, jungle, forest, everything. The Beetle handles all of it. Great. Period. Its overall top speed is great. Its acceleration is outstanding. It will get you there, and it will get you there quickly to that top speed. Its stability and control are also absolutely top of the heap, cream of the crop. It doesn't flip very easily. It controls like a dream. You can turn the thing even at speed. 160, 170, 180 miles an hour, you can make small adjustments. You can make larger adjustments and still come out okay without spinning. It weighs a little bit less, so it's not going to be the best in the jungle or the water or regular debris, but it's absolutely not going to care very much. You're going to go through all of that stuff. Jungle debris, water debris, regular debris. It's not going to have a problem with much of that stuff at Oh. Next up, number 4. The AMG 1. Now, when it comes to the AMG 1, there's a couple of things that make it a little bit of a headache from time to time. It is so low to the ground that, similar to the Centenario, on the bumps and on the humps and on the jumps, it's going to bottom out, it's going to put its nose into the dirt, and you're going to have some trouble there recovering speed. Now, the AMG 1 also does have 2 modes. I opted not to rank it twice. I could have ranked it twice, but in that regard, I guess I could have ranked the Bronco twice, because the Bronco, you can have the top up or you can have the top down. So why don't I rank the Bronco twice? Anyhow, didn't rank the Bronco twice. I was just kidding about the Bronco. Didn't rank the AMG 1 twice. I've tried both modes, and I pretty much always leave it in the sleeker mode, the speedier mode. I don't even remember what they're called off the top of my head, but there's a bit slower mode that gives you a bit more control. That's not worth it. Just keep it in the speed mode, keep it in the sleek mode. Top speed is absolutely absurd, and it's another that's up in the 220 mile an hour range, so you're not going to have any issues with it when it comes to speed. Absolutely excellent speed, absolutely amazing, otherworldly acceleration, great stability. The AMG, with its low center of gravity and low slung body, it does not flip or roll very easily at all. Control is very good in it. I wouldn't call it spectacular. You can have some issues with control in the AMG 1 if you're not on pavement. On pavement, the control is probably the best in the Eliminator. It will hold the road like it's glued to it, like you're on spikes. As far as debris goes, that's where it's let down a little bit. It does have a little bit more trouble in jungle driving with logs and stuff pushing it around. Does have a little bit of trouble with miscellaneous debris. Water is the enemy. If you hit water in the AMG, you're done. Unless you really manage to fly over it and just get the tail wet. Anything else, and you are just going to be in real trouble in the AMG 1 when it comes to water. It is not good in the water because it's too low. It's like the Ferrari in the water. It might be even worse. There's so much body, so much of it is so low, and so much of it ends up in the water that's a downside. But the speed, come on, the speed cures all. So that's why I have the AMG 1 at number 4, which brings us to the top 3. The 3 vehicles we have left being the Brocky, the Escort Cosworth, and the RS 200. Number 3, that is where I have the Hoonigan Escort Cosworth. Absolutely an excellent car. It almost cannot be faulted. Its speed is outstanding. Its acceleration is excellent. Stability and control might be the best in the Eliminator. If it's not, it can contend with the very best in the Eliminator. It is good in the jungle. It is good if you hit the water. It is good with all the other debris that you hit out there in the world. It's excellent in every way. If I am in the Cosworth Escort, I feel like I can win at any time against anyone in a head-to-head. I don't care. You can be in one of the vehicles that occupies these 2 spots, and I still think that I can beat you. Bringing us to number 2 overall, I have the Brocky at number 2. And just like back here with the Murcielago GTR and AMG GT, these top 3 you could put in just about any order, and I wouldn't really argue with you. The Brocky is just huge speed, huge acceleration, handles hills and humps and bumps and jumps very well overall. It does have some stability issues. It's really up high center of gravity. If you get it going sideways a little bit, you can roll it without even going, in the air. Without even hitting a jump, you can roll the thing just going on straight pavement if you turn it over hard enough. So it does take a little bit of nuance to drive it, but if you can learn that nuance, oh man, is it fast. It is stable if, again, you know how and where to drive it. It's pretty easy to control. It does have some control issues because putting the power down when you weigh as little as the Brocky does, there can be some trouble there if you're hard turning while hard accelerating. You can definitely spin out in it, but it is just so great in every other way. As far as debris goes, Good when it comes to jungle debris, not spectacular. You can get shoved around a bit in the jungle, but not too bad by any means. The water, it doesn't care about the water. It's above the water, so it doesn't care. Other miscellaneous debris, same thing. Doesn't care, doesn't care, doesn't care. With really big barriers, if you hang yourself up in the barrier, you might lose a little bit of stability and control, but it's not going to be too bad, so you'll be fine. That, of course, means that our number one vehicle in all of the Eliminator in head-to-head races is the Hoonigan RS200, because of course it is. Somebody convince me otherwise. Go ahead. Tell me that the AMG 1 is better. No, it's not. Tell me that the Beetle is better, or the Cosworth Escort. No, they're not. Tell me that the RS6 is better, or the RS7, or the AMG GT. No, they're not. Every single one of these vehicles has a weakness of some kind that the RS200 just doesn't have. It is outstanding in every single area. Absolutely spectacular acceleration. Absolutely spectacular speed. Like 213-ish miles an hour. Is it the absolute fastest? No. If you start on the pavement against someone and that head-to-head race is all pavement and they're in an AMG 1 and you're in an RS200, you might lose. Otherwise, in every other situation, its stability and control are outstanding. If you have a problem where you're losing control, you can regain that control easily. It's not going to roll all that easily. It's very quick to recover from any kind of issues you might have, but those are few and far between. Water doesn't slow it down all that much, mainly because it's always going so fast when it hits the water. Other miscellaneous debris, no problem. Little trees, little fences, not even a concern. Jungle driving, yep, it's going to have a little bit more trouble than something like the Trackhawk would, because it doesn't have that kind of weight to it, but it's still going so fast most of the time that it just obliterates anything in its path. So logs, fences, trees, other drivers, it just obliterates everything, no problem. Yeah, sure, I guess car to car, if you were battling to force yourself back and forth with a Trackhawk, sure, the Trackhawk or the AMG GT or the RS7 might be able to push you around, but luckily, those cars are always going to be behind you when they're trying to push you around, so it doesn't matter. And that's it. That's the list. From 1 to 46, these are the best cars to win in head-to-head races, again, at any time. This is not factoring in anything other than overall, if you're picking a car to be in head-to-head races, do you want to be in the Quattro or do you want to be in a Levante? You know what? Give me the Levante. A Quattro or a Volvo? Give me the Quattro. A Trailcat or an Exocet? Just by the hair of my chinny chin chin, give me that Trailcat for all of the reasons that I have listed. I have listed out also in the description of part 1, I listed out my speed, acceleration, stability, control, jungle driving, water driving, and miscellaneous debris rankings for every single vehicle. I will also do that for these top 19 that we had left here. This is list number 1. I am happy to do more lists. Again, other ideas for lists might be the best cars for beginners, because, you know, I would definitely rank the Cosworth higher than the Bronco for beginners. I'd rank the Beetle above the AMG 1 for beginners. Holy cow, I might rank the Levante above the F9 for beginners. So that'd be a totally other list. Or best ability, or you know, the best cars to be in after the second shrink. You know, there's 4 shrinks in the Eliminator of the barrier. What are the best cars to be in after that second shrink? Because they might be a little bit different. You know, you might not. I would probably prefer to be in a 959 or an RS6 after that second shrink versus a Pro Truck and a Metro if I was doing head-to-head races, because you're going to run into a lot of really powerful stuff once the second shrink has happened, and these guys don't have the top speed for it, so that might be a different list. Or the best vehicles in the final overall, the best vehicles in the final if you're on-road, the best vehicles in the final if it's all off-road. Or if anybody wants me to do my personal favorite 1 to 46 vehicles, if you're asking me just what do you like to be in, because this AMG GT, it's probably up in the top 6 or so. But when it comes to my opinion on the best cars to win in head-to-head races at any time throughout all of a round of the Eliminator, this is it, from the RS200 all the way through to the Beetle. And yes, every single one can beat every single one. Can a Ford Escort 67 beat the RS200? If the situation is right, absolutely it can do that. So, I hope everybody did enjoy. I hope somebody out there got something from this list. I hope a couple of people liked it instead of just despising it. But absolutely, if you have arguments and disagreements, send them my way. I have no problem with that. Everybody's saying the Camaro should be down here with the Escort 67. Oh, I have been in so many races in head-to-heads in the Camaro where I totally agree that it's just utter trash. But I can't argue against it enough to put it so low. That's it. That's all I got. And you guys will, depending on what video you watch, you will potentially see my gameplay, but you will definitely hear my voice on the next one. And so now in our conclusion, we've got to get to the top 19, and starting it off is the